Welcome, everyone, to the Real Whovians cast, episode 995, Oxygen, Part 1. I am your host, Matrix Lord 212, and I'm with Chris. What's up, Chris?
What's up, everybody?
What's up, Hayden?
What's up, Tabby McTabsters?
Yeah.
What's up, Mike D?
Hold on a minute. I got to close out the tab. I got a porn point side up. Hold on a minute.
What's up? What's up, Scott?
Greetings, all.
All right, so I'm going to start off. I didn't see anybody's reaction, really. So I'm going to tell you, we just saw, I was watching Oxygen. I was back and forth, Mike D on text here and there while the thing was in a commercial break. I got to say, this episode was the best of the season for me because it had the companion have the emotion of fear. She really didn't have nothing to do in this episode. To me, she's not really the greatest companion. To me, she's just a companion. I don't know where people are getting it that she's the greatest companion, but forget about that for a second. She was scared. We got to see through her eyes that she was dying the first time with Oxygen, which was really Capaldi running around, Nardo's face and everything. And then the second time, too.
God.
The fact that we got that, and I know Mike D's going to bring out a lot of cool points about where stuff was taken from this episode, but me, I'm pushing that aside because the thing that did it for me is this episode had action, action, action. It had the whole concept of oxygen was an interesting subplot to the story, that the corporations and evil bastards that are managers that will kill your workers for fucking the profitability, and at the end of the day, the profitability company and all that stuff, that is, you know, a twist on real life stuff. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed the interaction with Nardo because it started to make sense when he was talking to the doctor, that the doctor had set this thing up because it's important. Now, if you caught a few things, you'll notice that Nardo said that's not his face. That, in other words, the head is not even his either, which leads me to believe that his consciousness, like River, has been downloaded not into the library, but into this robot, okay? So his consciousness is in this, you know, fake head, fake arms, fake legs, but yet he still needs to breathe because of his consciousness thinking he's a human being, okay? So I got that from the episode. I enjoyed that. Let me say, the characters, the outfit, the money was spent on this episode was a lot like Thin Ice, okay? I liked the characters. The woman that was like yelling at the doctor, why the hell do we need to have you lead us? And then he made sense. I like it that the doctor actually got seriously wounded where he's blind, okay? That was amazing how, because he's an alien, and we don't really know too much of him alien-wise if he's blind.
The fact that he was faking afterwards, like, oh yeah, I can see.
Well, I'm going to get into that. The thing is, too, that he faked that he got his sight back. He doesn't. So my thing is, to me, and people are going to, I got to tell you, if I love the episode like I do, this is why we do the Real Whovians cast. When we're excited and passionate about certain episodes, this episode does it for me, and me alone. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, I could watch this over and over and over like Rings of Akatan. This is a 10 out of 10 for me, and it's not going down. So I'm going to say that. I understand Mike D is going to bring out some points about why he, you know, what his feelings. So go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I'm the first one out of the starting gate. I don't
Well,
know.
you don't have to be. You don't have to be. You wanted to go to somebody else, we'll go to somebody else.
Well, I'll flow through the conversation. I didn't think it was like a 10 out of 10. I thought it was the best of what we've seen so far. But when you contrast that with the shit that we've had so far, I mean, like, you know, anything mediocre is going to look a lot better and come off a lot better. I think that whoever wrote this episode, like, I think they threw in
Jamie Matheson, right?
I don't know who wrote it. I haven't looked, or I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I just watched it, but the I think that there was like a bit of a homage put out there to obviously it's a zombie episode. If you look at the original Dawn of the Dead from 1978, there's a Hare Krishna zombie that's very made up in blue paint, makeup, and it looks just like the blue alien guy in that. And even when he becomes zombified, he does that kind of tilted head thing, kind of stooping around, just like you would see the Hare Krishna zombie. I think that it was put in there like it's a bit of a nod, tip of the hat to that movie. But like there were some good scenes in this, and I mean the atmosphere was pretty cool, and it was neat to see like Bill doubting the doctor and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, it wasn't like terrible or anything. I just I hope that they are getting sequentially better, which they are. So I'm kind of curious what's going to transpire. I watched the trailer for like the next one, Extremis, and he's still blind in that. So I think he's going to have to let Missy out of the vault to help him out, and that's what's going to lead to all these problems. Because, like Nardal said, that individual that's in the vault is going to be able to sense that you're weak and that there's something wrong with you, because obviously there's a fellow Time Lord in the vault, and I think he's going to have to rely on her, because with these truth monks, as they're titled, being in the next episode and coming to the forefront as being a threat, he's going to realize he's in over his head, and he's going to need the help of the Missy. So I'll stop there right now so far in this conversation.
Well, let me ask you one question. The thing about the next episode is that if you read the thing, you die, right? But technically, he could probably read it in Braille and not die, because he's not actually reading it because he's blind. So maybe that will tie into that episode where he gets to defeat them that way. But we're going to stick with this episode, Oxygen. Chris, what did you think of it?
I'm going back and forth with this one because I've generally liked the last three that we've gotten. Thin Ice was okay. I liked last week's, and this, yeah. And I think this one is the best one we've gotten so far from this season. My thing is this: there were a couple of things that I missed or I didn't understand. So correct me if I'm wrong. The first thing was there was the scene where they got up to the first quote unquote zombie, and they were like looking at it and examining it. How come that one didn't turn on and go after them until like 5 or 10 minutes later? I was like, okay, that's a minor nitpick. The bigger thing for me was when the TARDIS got there and it did the air shell, it took another like 4 or 5 minutes before they got there, and the system was like, oh, there's oxygen in the base, it's got to be evacuated because that's costing money. How come it took so long for the system to realize that? Like it was very like convenient to me that they brought it up. They're like, oh, it's going to send the oxygen out of the base, and then all of a sudden it sends the oxygen out of the base. Like, shouldn't it have done that as soon as they got there? You know what I'm saying? That to me didn't make much sense, but those are minor things. I like the doctor going blind. I think that's an interesting idea, and I think that's going to tie into what we see later on, or what we're apparently going to see later on with him, quote unquote, regenerating. I have a feeling that, someone's going to do that to him, and he's going to use the energy to heal his eyes rather than completely regenerate. Other than that, I mean, Nardal really brought this episode down for me. I still don't like him. I know that his character is serving some sort of a purpose, but he's not funny to me, and I don't think he needs to be there. Maybe later episodes will make me see, oh yes, he should be there, but I don't like the character, and I think that he's bringing the show down when he's in episodes for a good amount of time. Other than that, I thought it was okay. I thought it was, it looked great. I thought Bill did pretty well. I don't think she's the greatest companion ever. I think she's an okay companion right now. I'm still enjoying the fact that she's not some sort of like cosmic mystery that he's trying to figure out, and that she's just a regular person. But other than that, I liked the resolution. I really liked what you had said, Joe, too, when they when the person asked the doctor, why should we listen to you? And he had a logical reason for why they should listen to him. It wasn't like Smile, where he just kind of took control and screwed everybody over at the end. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good episode overall.
Don't you think you get the impression that if Nardal wasn't in this whole series, it should just be with the Doctor and Bill developing her characteristic, and him by being there interferes with that chemistry, and is a big distraction we don't need.
Third wheel.
I just think he just annoys. Like for me personally, he just annoys me. Like he says stuff, and I can see that they're trying to give him these little comedy bits, but I don't find him funny. It's not the type of comedy that I react to. Maybe other people are reacting well to it, and if they are, then keep him in the show if he's working. But for me, I don't think he needs to be there. I think it would be much better if maybe the doctor was having kind of an internal crisis of whether not to leave or to leave, you know, and go on these adventures. I just feel like Nardole being there saying, you can't go, doctor, and he's not listening to him. It's like, then why is he there? Like, I think it would be better if it was the doctor having this, you know, conversation internally.
Okay, Scott.
Like Chris said, there's and like I said, Narl's becoming the redundant broken record. Each time he tries to do something, oh, you can't leave Earth because of a promise you made to me. And the whole idea of the fluid link. Narl should have known that the fact that he sent him off in the first place, or even told him about the fluid link, was a means of getting his butt away.
Doctor lies.
Yeah, the doctor lies. And the whole zombie thing, I love the zombie aspect, and the fact that they opened it up with a quote from Star Trek as well.
Yeah,
because I was listening. Yeah, because I was listening to it, I was thinking, okay, blah blah blah, and it threw me because he went on to explain how you die, but yet in reality, he was supposed to be explaining some sort of crop, something about crops. And the whole little nod towards the blue guy looking at Bill like, you're a racist. And she's like, and then she responds how they're racist. Hey, I come from a time where I'm being judged as well. And I look at it like,
yeah, what was that about? You're in the 21st fucking century. Yeah, the president of the United States was, you know, African American, and you're talking about like it's hard for you.
Racist.
Like, what the fuck?
I don't think it was the whole part about her face, her color, is the fact that she was gay. I think that's what
they were talking about? Not that she was black, that she was gay?
I don't think it was even though he tried to make it seem as though she was talking about he was blue. Because I saw a little behind the scenes.
People are judging her not because she's black, because she's gay. That's what she was. I didn't even get that. Okay.
So they got SJWs in the future too?
Well, why would...
I mean, come
that
on.
doesn't really make much sense, though, because why would he call her a racist if he was talking
But
about
I saw a little behind
sexuality?
the scenes thing later, and he's not an alien. He's an actual human who, through genetic alteration, turned his coloring blue.
Oh, is that what the story is?
Yeah, he's actually human, but due to genetic alteration that I forget the reason. I'll go back and watch it.
Would have been nice if they would have explained that in the damn episode. I thought the guy was a friggin' alien. Like,
I missed that. When did they explain that?
Yeah, where did you get that?
Pardon?
Where did you find that out?
Like I said, there was like a little behind the scenes thing I found.
For Christ's sake, Mom.
Well, how the fuck would anyone know about that if they didn't watch the episode?
It's one of those segments where, like, oh, Doctor Who, and Martha's with his hair, and he's, like, talking about the blue alien. And it's like, why the fuck are we going to watch that? We're going to watch action episode first. We're not going to. Yeah. Why would you want to watch behind the scenes before you watch the fucking episode? Because then it gives you. No, I'm just saying, not you. I'm saying it gives away the whole episode. I wouldn't watch that shit before the episode.
It would have been nice if maybe during a commercial break, like, remember they used to have the interviews from behind the scenes instead of advertising Class 7 times in a friggin' row. Right. Why don't you take one of those commercial breaks and explain something you didn't have time to put in the episode? Or better yet, have him in the line, have the guy have a line that says, "By the way, I'm human," or something like that.
Right.
Put it in the damn episode. Like,
right.
Doesn't make any sense.
And stop showing those advanced clips that we're about to see in 5 minutes.
Yeah, replace that.
It screws me up when it does that. I was talking to Mike D. I got off the phone with Mike D. because I thought it was on, and it was the fucking bullshit that was for like a minute. That's like, this will happen in about 5 minutes. Who cares about that? Ruined it.
I'm with Chris about that whole thing about how, it's kind of strange. We're going to extract the oxygen after, or at least X number of minutes after they arrive. So,
Right.
Yeah, I just thought that was like, it felt really convenient. Like,
yeah,
they started talking about it, and then the second they stopped, the system went off, and I was like, wait, wouldn't they have done that as soon as new oxygen was introduced into the base because they're trying to save money? Like,
and the fact that Nartle was trying to remember who this girlfriend of his was due to
Right.
the little Surrey section in the suit. And then
Yeah.
finally it's like, oh, it's Veronica or it's Mimi or
Whatever her
something.
name is. Varia, whatever her name is.
We'll have to say this. That little thing of saying we're too valuable for us alive, but yet we're nothing to the dead was a great, I know I'm paraphrasing, but it was great. And then you see them all,
Great idea.
yeah, slowly go in there and reverse it and slip them the oxygen.
Yeah.
And the fact that Bill was pretty much, in a sense, faking death. She was pretty much playing possum.
She didn't know she was playing possum.
Yeah, I know. She didn't know
She
she
had
was
no
playing
fucking
possum.
clue. She's like whatever. I mean, all right, so let me get Hayden's, because I didn't get anything from Hayden. What was it? What'd you think?
Well, you know, I've been really digging this series so far. I thought last week was actually pretty great. I thought that Smile was pretty great. I thought the premiere was pretty good. You know, I've been digging it. I've quite liked everything I've seen so far, which is a pretty big thing for me because I thought the last two series was terrible.
What?
So this week, going into it, I was excited because I heard there was this big kind of cliffhanger, and you know, I liked the preview clip where he was talking about going to get the bag of crisps or whatever, and how he was going to dock his pay for him being a little bit of a asshole and trying to steal his fluid plug or whatever. I liked all that. So then I went into the episode, and you know what? This episode sucks. This sucks. Like, this was the most, like, the side characters on the space station were the most boring, dull characters we've ever had in Doctor Who. They just sucked. They were so boring and dull. Like, the blue guy, he was cool for one line of dialogue about his racist, the Bill being a racist. That was awesome. But then, like, from the rest of the episode, the guy with the beard, like, what was the one with the facial hair who helped Bill out get her arms down? That was just a stupid scene for no reason. I don't know why they spent 2 minutes on Bill trying to get her arms down. The color palette, like the visuals, were just so dull and dreary. Everything just looked like rusty metal the whole episode. Like, I don't know what was going on with that. The idea of capitalism being prominent in the future and taking over technology, that was cool. I mean, that was a cool idea. Like, that was smart writing. But, like, the whole explanation for the big, like, twist of how the suits have to be told that they're going to be actually what do you call it? They're going to cost the company more money if they kill their organic counterparts or whatever it is. That was a little bit complicated at the end. Like, I felt they could have explained that a lot simpler instead of the Doctor having like a 5-minute speech, like freaking out that understood the whole thing. So I don't know. I just like the thing of the Doctor being blind at the end. I mean, that would be cool, but like, I just don't see them sticking with that for more than one episode. I feel like they'll just fix that in the next episode by the end. So,
well,
like,
here's the thing. The next one is a 3-parter. So he may be blind for 3 parts.
well, that would be cool.
What do you think about the little internal force field to keep the air in, but yet if they stepped outside, they needed those little those special helmets, which I thought was kind of interesting when I saw in the beginning. I thought, what the hell? Why is
That's
that?
a cool idea, too.
I just thought that was a way of them trying to not waste money to have everyone wear a helmet the whole episode. So they just set it to like a force field. Like some of the things in the episode were the actual kind of whole concept behind the like zombies and the suits, like that was kind of cool, but like I don't know, it just didn't really engage me. I didn't really get kind of thrilled or kind of entertained at all by this episode. It was just kind of like, yeah, whatever. We're just kind of going through the space station type Doctor Who episode, like a 42 or something, and, you know, going through the motions. I just thought the side characters, which are basically the side characters are always kind of the main draw between each different episode when the Doctor travels somewhere new. I just thought they were really boring. We didn't learn anything about them really. Like we knew nothing about them. Like so, therefore, I didn't care about them at all. Like there's just the girl who shouted at the Doctor lots, and then the guy who was kind of complicable with what the Doctor was doing, and then the blue guy who had like 2 or 3 lines. Like there was just no depth to these survivors in the episode. Like I just thought they didn't even need to be there. And Nardles, like, he's not even funny. He's not even funny. Like he doesn't even crack many jokes. He's just there really to tell the Doctor to come back so we can guard the vault. He's just there to tell the Doctor to guard the vault. Like he didn't need to come on the adventure. He didn't add anything to the adventure whatsoever. Like it's not like having Nardle there changed the dynamic of the entire episode. He was just there as another person on the ship, just walking around and trying to question why everything is the way it is. And I think the whole thing with the Doctor's eyes looking like they're fixed, like I don't know. I think it would have been cooler if the Doctor had his eyes with that.
Well, wasn't it a thing? Here's the thing. I might have missed something. When they did the thing with his eyes, did it restore it like only for minutes, like temporarily?
That's what I'm wondering.
That's what I thought it did because he had to pilot the TARDIS to go take them home. So I'm thinking it only was like for a couple minutes and then boom, he went full blind.
Yeah,
because he was in shock when he was on Earth.
I thought it would have looked better if they kept that effect on his eyes to make him look blind.
Yeah.
So it would have showed he physically looked more damaged, and like if going into the finale every episode he damaged his body more, and by the end of the finale he has like no hands and he's got scar down his face and no eyeballs and he just looks completely destroyed.
Jeez.
Damn.
I just want to see him battered. Just want to see him weak. And
what was it? Heaven Sent?
Like
he's dragging his body up the stairs and.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask around now. Could anybody rate it yet, or you want multiple times to view it?
I gotta see another time to rate.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I can rate it. I would give it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10.
Okay.
It's okay. It's nothing. It's not bad. It's not great. It's just kind of okay.
It's good.
Yeah, it's passable.
It had some under the lake aspects to it while I was watching it, because the whole at some time, of course, how they're
like listening a little bit too.
Space station that could have been the undersea station from under the lake, and that.
Well, I watched.
Plus the fact that it was blind has had some aspects of the classic Doctor Who episode "Brain of Morbius" when Sarah Jane
Smith, yeah. Would you say, Mikey?
I didn't want to interrupt Scott when he was finishing talking there. The thing I actually watched earlier today, The Impossible Planet. They reran it on BBC America, and it actually felt quite a bit like that episode, where you had people that were like in this.
Guys, just give me a minute. I'm sorry. Yeah.
There were people in this station that were sequestered there, a small group of people. And it's kind of odd that they chose to run that on the very day that they ran this episode. I don't know if you guys remember that episode, the one before the Satan Pit.
Yeah.
Where the whole thing with the black hole. But, I mean, I would have to rate this. I'm more like where Hayden is with this, on one aspect at least. This episode, I think, it's better than what we've seen before, but I don't really think that we've seen really great episodes this series so far. I mean, they've gotten better. There's an incline in the quality, and I guess like what we are given as a full episode. But I still think this, like for me, like the other episodes have been like 4s or 5s to me. This has been more like a 6. I'd like to see Doctor Who's capable of like a lot better episodes than this, and I think that. Far from being poor or shit, which I don't think this was. I think it was a good episode. I don't think it was great, but I'm very hopeful, and it's looking good that it's going to get better as it goes along.
Something I like to usually say to myself after I see an episode is, would I go back and watch it again Like not to rate it, but like, you know, if it was on again, would I sit there and watch it, or if I saw it was on demand, would I put it on demand because I really liked it? And to be honest with you guys, none of the episodes this season for me, I would go back and watch.
I agree.
Just out of, like, you know, if I had some free time, like, oh, you know, I have an hour to kill, let me put on Doctor Who and let me put on Knock Knock or
Would
you
you rather see
nice.
something from the original series or
Yes.
one of these updated?
Yes, the original series. I would tell you that this episode would be by and far the one that I would go back and revisit and watch. I would have no reason to watch Knock Knock again. I mean, for what it was trying to be, for the constraints of what that story was, you know, it's like, you know, okay, whatever. It's really a relegated minor episode, like really minor, and Smile was too. And even looking back at
One-off story, Knock Knock.
What now?
I said, now that I think about it, Knock Knock is more like a one-off story, where Thin Ice and this one, they could expand upon it even more.
Well, the things about Thin Ice I liked were more the production values and the stuff between the Doctor and Bill. But the story it seemed like the story was kind of like secondary to like trying to like get the audience to like the dynamic between Bill and the Doctor. This episode actually had the dynamic of Bill and the Doctor like by far, which was great. They won what they were trying to do and accomplished with that. And the story actually fit that better than what we've seen so far. I mean, so far the series has started out really weak. I mean, it's like Sylvester McCoy's first series. And I think that it was actually quite interesting to see the Doctor, in sort of a way, getting Bill to have to trust him and just say, hey, look, you know, I can't do anything right now to save you. Yeah, where she almost has a conflict of faith in the Doctor, much like Ace with Sylvester McCoy's Doctor. But I still think these episodes, I mean, if you go back and watch like some of the Tenet stuff especially, they're still lacking that power punch of like really, really great episodes. And I love Capaldi. I still love Capaldi. But I think even if you put Tenet in these episodes, it would be the same problem. It's the writing and the repetitious sort of scenarios that they're putting these people into and stuff. It's not Capaldi. I love Capaldi, but this episode, like, it was far greater, I think, in quality than the others, as I've said, that we've seen this series. Unlike some people, I think the previous two series have been stronger so far than this by far at this point. But I mean, we've only seen about, you know, not quite halfway through, right? So
next week's going to be halfway, and then that's when they're going to reveal who or what's inside the vault.
Yeah, and I don't want to, just to be honest, to be real and not be one of these like fake 10 out of 10 motherfuckers all the time, I want to, like...
And he's not giving a dig at me, by the way, because I hardly ever give him a 10.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not meaning everyone who happens to like that episode. I'm talking about a particular small contingent of, like, you know, people... I'm addressing the people that say every episode's a 10 out of 10. That's what I'm saying. And... I don't want to like something because I feel compelled to have to like it because I like the series and I like the franchise. I don't want to say, hey, you know, like I'm a huge fan of the James Bond film franchise. I'm not going to say every film is like great. They're fun, they're exciting to watch and stuff. Some of them are more superior to others. I might be entertained by watching some that aren't necessarily as great as other ones. And it's like that with Doctor Who. I don't want to get to where, like I'm saying, every fucking episode of this is like 10 out of 10 because it's like, if that's 10 out of 10, then you're just like fucking retarded, like saying every fucking episode.
Just throwing out a number just for giggles' sake.
Well, at that point, it's like you have no standards, like, because if everything's a 10 out of 10, then how can they ever get better? You know?
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. And I don't knock anyone for liking something. I mean, like, I'm kidding around saying, like, you know, somebody's retarded or whatever. I mean, I'm expecting that people are like not children and they're grown up to realize that that's just like a figure of speech. But if you think every single episode is a 10 out of 10 for every franchise, as I've already gone over this with the Bond franchise with me, which I love the franchise, but I'm not going to sit there and say every single movie is a 10 out of 10. You know, some of them are a 6, some of them are like an 8, some of them are a 10. But
a 10 out of 10 is like absolutely perfect, and you can rewatch it forever and ever and ever. Like Back to the Future 1. Like The Empire Strikes Back, 10 out of 10 you could rewatch forever and ever and ever. I'd never put like an episode of a TV show with like something like this as a 10 out of 10, something I could watch for the rest of my life. And
yeah, exactly. Like, absolutely, Hayden.
One of the all-time greats is a 10 out of 10. Like I don't know if I'd rate anything a 10 out of 10 because that is such a big
I'm still yet to watch something that's a 10 out of 10.
Crazy. And for someone to go every week, well, that was a 10. That was a 10.
I was yet to find something that's actually a 9.
Yeah, true.
Perfect, if everything's the best, what's the best?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I watch things like I'm a fan of like the Halloween franchise, the horror films, and I love watching Halloween 2 and Halloween 1, of course. But I mean, and the other movies. But I mean, Halloween 4, I enjoy watching it. But I mean, it's not like a 10 out of 10, even though I'll watch it every year because it's entertaining. But you know, there's a give and take with like what you realize what they're trying to do with the episode and what they're actually able to accomplish by producing it and putting it out there and acting and everything. And like 10 out of 10, there are not too many 10 out of 10 films. We may actually enjoy watching something, but it could be like a 6 or 7. And I'm not knocking that, but I mean, you have to be honest. You can't say everything. Even the Beatles albums were not every single one of them 10 out of 10. Everything's not a fucking classic. I mean, Alfred Hitchcock movies, Beatles albums, I mean, every Martin Scorsese films, everything that is done by a legendary master of whatever field of media that they're in, whatever their artistry is, every fucking thing can't be a 10 out of 10. That's impossible.
But I guess we've got to have different rating scales for different mediums at the same time. Like, there's obviously a film out of 10. There's a music scale on a point of 10. There's a television scale on a point of 10. Do we rate Doctor Who on a television scale, or do we rate it on a Doctor Who scale? Do we rate it as Doctor Who, like a 10 on the level of Doctor Who standards? Like,
and then you got to think about it.
In terms of Doctor Who, I would give this episode a 4 out of 10. But in terms of this as a general piece of media, as in a movie, if I'm rating it as a whole in terms of my enjoyment, I'd probably even give it a 3 because I would never watch it again. And I thought it was just lacking in basic, writing standards in terms of characterization, in terms of an engaging story overall, and in terms of, just every single aspect. So if we're going to rate it in Doctor Who, I'd rate it a bit higher because obviously Doctor Who's like not the gold standard of, film and television. It's a great show, but it's not like on the level of, a Martin Scorsese movie, or it's not on the level of something incredible like a Mel Gibson film or even what's another great science fiction franchise? Like it's not on the level of like a Blade Runner or anything where it's one episode's going to change the world for 30 years and have people still talking later. But sometimes you do get fantastic episodes, and when you really do get a memorable, great episode of Doctor Who, I think that's when you recognize it and go, yep, that was like a 10.
Yeah, that's like you recognize a classic. Like Ridley Scott's Alien or John Carpenter's The Thing, Halloween. Yeah. Some of these are like a 10 out of 10 has to be an absolute classic that like either sets a new standard, raises the bar, or does something like Casino Royale with the James Bond franchise.
Yeah.
And exactly. And if you're watching Doctor Who, if you're going to say this is 10 out of 10, you may be really entertained by it, which is cool. But I mean, I would say, hey, look, I'm entertained by this, hypothetically, but I would never say this is a 10 out of 10 because
so it's like
compare that with like Deadly Assassin or like Caves of Androzoni or like Genesis of the Daleks. This is nowhere even looking anywhere near that category.
So like giving this a 10 out of 10, you're saying that you'd say this episode is perfect. Therefore, it's as best as the best Doctor Who that's ever been.
Well, I think when people, first of all, for me giving it a 10 out of 10, I'm saying according to me, this, after we do this cast, this is something that before I go to bed, I would watch again. I probably would watch it tomorrow. I enjoy it. I'll actually, if it was a DVD by itself rather than in the series, I would actually set up space on my shelf for that, because to me, I enjoy it as a 10 out of 10.
So
As far as it making it for the whole entire genre and community, I'm not going that big. I'm just saying for me, it was a 10 out of 10.
So
but then again, are we looking at the aspect of, okay, for
It's not that great, Jay. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, it could be what you said, that the last episodes were like shit, and this is like finally the first good thing we've had since then. I mean, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, if you
But do we rate? But do we raise our rating bar for each doctor? In other words, like, okay, this is the doctor.
I'm basing it on Capaldi.
As that, so we're saying, okay, it's 13.
I think if you,
I think this is one of my favorite Capaldis.
Is the 10th, so it's like 10 out of 10, good. So 10th is the highest for the Tennant, 4th is the highest for Baker, and yada yada. Are we going to go? Are we going that far when we rate our? And say,
it's like that. I guess to answer that directly, it's kind of like let's say we're judging Sylvester McCoy's era. You know, obviously, Curse of Fenric is going to be, if we're basing 10 out of 10, like let's just like forget about every other doctor. If we're just judging Sylvester McCoy's era, Curse of Fenric, 10 out of 10, right?
I agree with that, and Battlefield to me, and Remembrance of the Daleks.
Yeah, those are at least 8 or 9s out of 10. But I mean, if we get to like you know your favorite Candyman episode, I mean, it's entertaining, but I mean that's it's like a 3 or 4 or something.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I think if you go, the series has been shit so far. It's only been a 3 every episode, and then you go, oh wow, finally we got a good one. I don't know if you just jump straight to 10 out of 10. I think you just go.
You know what? Usually I watch it
for a 7.
You know what? I'm going to watch it again tonight. I'm going to watch it again tomorrow. I really, the way I feel about the episode, it's kind of why I created Whovians Kids. Like, it's got me passionate. It's got me interested. Got me, like, energetic where, let's go, 5 casts. It's like, I enjoy it. And I think when I enjoy the episode better, it's like I'm more motivated. I'm, like, hopeful for the future that it's not going to be a total friggin' bust. So I think that the next episode is going to, the bar is raised now, I feel. I think that the next episode.
But see, that's the point is that we.
What's that?
I said, I think it really got raised with thin ice when it.
Yeah, but you can't get raised but then go down again. Like Knock Knock was like,
I don't know. I watched Knock Knock 3 times. I really liked that one.
Right.
Well, the thing is, like, if we're expecting the series is going to be like fantastic in the next like 3 episodes or 4 episodes or whatever, you're going to look back and go, well, wait a minute. So I judge this episode as a 10 out of 10. When the others, you're going to go, man, they're so much better. You have to leave.
What if the next
10 out of 10 has got to be.
But I'm not. My thing is this: I'm not looking to hold back my rating to see the whole series. I'm comparing how I felt about watching this particular episode. Now, again, I may like the thing with Missy or whatever next episode, but will I feel the same as I feel about this episode? I don't know. We don't know.
So if you thought this was,
so what if you go next week? If you go next week.
Pardon me, one second, one quick question. I don't want to lose where we were with what we're talking about. If hypothetically. Well, actually, not hypothetically. You actually committed to this. If you thought, and I'm not like trying to put you on the spot, but the point I'm trying to make is, if you thought this episode was a 10 out of 10, but we haven't seen the next.
I don't think that's the thing. I rated this point.
Hold on a minute. If you happen to like those episodes so much more, you already have committed to 10 out of 10, but you're saying like the next episodes are going to be like, oh my God, they're like fantastic.
But see, the thing is that.
What are they, like 12 out of 10?
No, 10 is the top rating. So if I even like it even better, that's also 10 out of 10. There's no higher than 10, but here's my point. To me, again,
sliding scale.
This had Caves of Androzani because Peter Davison sacrificed himself, the Doctor, Fifth Doctor, for Perry, right?
Yeah.
It had that in this element in it. And I know I agree with you about having the Night of the Living Dead element and and all these different things with the Borg and all this stuff. But that wasn't the overall. They weren't overall promoting that. They were promoting the whole concept that oxygen is sold, the whole business mentality, capitalism. It wasn't. That was like a side thing. That was like,
if anything else, the metaphor that was like really in your face was like the current state of the U.S. healthcare system.
right.
Oxygen. You need to live. You need healthcare, and the suits are the ones who are deciding who lives and who dies.
And that's what he made the point on near the end too.
But again, I want to finish off why I gave it a 10 out of 10. Also, the mental state of the Doctor, where he's really screwing up the lectures now. And you're thinking, well, maybe he always screwed up the lectures because he really wants to get the F off Earth and he wants to travel like he's used to doing.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason,
subconscious thinks in himself.
for whatever reason, he's torn with himself and he's going against his own rules because he's playing off how he always does things. He runs away. He goes do things. He cannot stay, even to be Lord President, even to be whatever. He just has to go. That's something that is him, whether it be a flaw or not. He has to leave her.
So why
And
is Nardole talking to him like a bitch at the end of that episode?
I'm glad you said that, Mike D, because that's the problem I'm having with Nardole. Like what you just said, Joe, where he's messing up the lectures. The audience, usually who watches it, usually will pick up on what's going on. I just feel like Nardole is spoon feeding the audience this information. Like, oh, you want to get off the Earth again? Yes, we know that. Thank you, Nardole. That was a wasted line of
I'm going to
dialogue.
explain the whole Nardole thing. I think, my opinion. What I got, and a big, big piece of evidence was when Nardole said, "This is not even my face." Once he said that, right there, Chris, I'm like, the head's not even real. Like, we know he has mechanical arms. We know he, whatever. So it's probably Moffat stealing from himself in reverse. He took the consciousness of Nardole and put it in a robot body that for some reason breathes because of his consciousness and his mental state. He has to breathe even though he doesn't really need to breathe. And I think that's what it is. I think that Nardole is a construct of the Doctor, but with his consciousness in there. And I also think that the Doctor made him that way. Even if, let's just say Nardole is not even a consciousness. Say it's a robot.
Just
It's
an
like
android, like they did
it's
with
like he's programmed.
the
He's
Master.
programmed by the Doctor to treat himself that way.
Yeah,
So
but
maybe he's a robot.
why is he afraid of things then? Robots don't have fear. They don't have feelings.
Well, again, it could be he doesn't know he's a robot. Maybe he has.
My thing is this though, like I don't care what his origin is. The character is useless. It doesn't matter if he was the reincarnation of Omega. The character for me is useless in these shows. He doesn't bring anything to it.
Correct.
Like I said, he's a third wheel.
He should be kept in the university if they're going to do that. Don't take him on adventures because really, if he was that worried about leaving, he wouldn't leave with the Doctor.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying. The episodes that he stood at the university, made sense to me because if you're that worried about leaving the vault, you wouldn't leave the vault. But this one, the Doctor leaves, even though the Doctor quote unquote tricked him into leaving. If Nardole was that worried, he would never get anywhere near the inside of the TARDIS because he'd be afraid that the Doctor is gonna trick him and take off. So if this guy is really what you're saying, and the Doctor programmed him to be that way, to me, why would the Doctor program something that he built to be that stupid?
Yeah, exactly.
So for me, the character is just he's an exposition spouting, just body that just doesn't need to be in the show.
If the Doctor needed Nardole to protect him at all costs from doing something stupid because the Doctor's spastic or something, he gets a hair up his ass and decides, hey, I want to go run off into outer space. The Doctor's not incompetent, right? So why would he program something that he would like put trust in to hold him to task?
Because the way Moffat's treating Capaldi's doctor, he's treating Capaldi's doctor that he's incompetent because he's making Capaldi's doctor choose the face to remind himself to save people because this is what Moffat's doing.
And in that first episode, he asked, "What'd you set the door for?" He said, "Friends only."
And he got mad because she's a friend. So that's why she got in, Bill. But here's my point. Moffat had, this is why he chose his face, to remind himself to save people, right? For some reason, with this doctor, he's needing a lot of reminding of what he's supposed to do. So he's cue cards from Clara, how he's supposed to treat people. No, but just think about this. One second. Cue cards from Clara on how he's supposed to address people, how he's supposed to treat people, how he's supposed to have emotions towards people. Okay? Warnings from freaking, I mean, this is basically, this doctor has to be reminded of what he's supposed to do. For what purpose?
Well, what's he got, a mental illness or something? I mean,
that's what I'm trying to find out.
Let me make a point here. If he has to go to the lengths of actually taking a robotic simulant to remind him of what he needs to be doing, and yet not listening to that and doing what he's going to do anyway, that accomplishes nothing. He's still going to be ending up making the same mistake. This doctor, the way they have this doctor written, agree or disagree, if we're taking things at face value and we're going to take Nardole as the gatekeeper of understanding who the doctor is based on the way the doctor programmed him to function as a certain device to keep the doctor on the earth and keep him out of trouble and to protect the vault, because something obviously is going to be down the line, he's not doing his job. So that means the doctor doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, because if the doctor programmed him, he's programming him to fail in his job. His only job is doing it.
And on that point, though, right? Okay, let's say he built this character to keep him from leaving, right? Why would he build it after Nardole? Why wouldn't he build it after something completely that he thought of, or maybe somebody that he liked, A? And then B, why would he program it, like Mike D said, to be terrible at its job? If I was building a robot that was trying to keep me from doing something, I would program it to know how I think so that it can anticipate what I was going to do and stop me from doing it. And if I can think of that,
why doesn't he give Nardole the key to the TARDIS then?
Right,
he did. Nardole was traveling around in the TARDIS.
Think of that though. But if we can think of that, and we're like 1% of the Doctor's intelligence is what we're being told, how come he can't do this right? I mean, it just doesn't. It boggles.
Right. If he could fly the TARDIS, how could he not know that the liquid doesn't mean shit?
Well, exactly.
What if some of this is going to sound like a far-fetched idea, I know. But what if, when trying to program Nardole, he used the same concept as he did from The Face of Evil? He put some of his own consciousness into that programming.
There's no way the Doctor's consciousness is in there.
But I know, like I said, this is a far-fetched idea. I'm just trying to think of something. But the consciousness that he put in there may have not been 100%.
He chose Nardole's face because he was destroyed and miserable that River Song died, and he needed something familiar. He didn't remember Clara, or else he'd make a robot Clara. So the only person he's been with for 27 years with fucking River is Nardole. So he did it as a reminder also. Another reminder of what happened with River or whatever, and doing a good deed and saving his life that way, and also him traveling with him. So that's why he chose Nardole.
Made the Nardole look like River in some way, shape, and form.
But even on that point, though, right? Like you just said, he would have made a robot Clara, right? He listens to Clara. He used to listen to Clara a little too much. So it would have made sense for him to build a robot that acted like her, because he actually listened to her. So if she said don't go, he probably wouldn't have gone. So why is it this Nardole character? I don't understand this. This was a throwaway character from the Christmas special.
So the Doctor created Nardole he set him up to fail. Because if you're creating something to keep you from doing something, would you not instill the weaknesses?
Or somebody to argue with.
You would instill the weaknesses you have within that creation to be sure to be like a fail-safe for if you got. It's kind of like if somebody like had a drug habit and you were able to like set like a robot to be like a bodyguard or something, and somebody like gets into like where they're like, oh, I need a fix, I gotta have a fix, and that robot bodyguard would be like, no, you're not gonna have that, and Nardal's there with him all the time, but yet he's just like, oh, you really shouldn't be doing this, but okay, I mean that doesn't work. If all of this is like so important for Nardal to be like his intermediary between the Doctor and his habit, if you will, of having to like run off, he's failing miserably. He set himself up to fail.
My thing is, remember how he was the 11th Doctor, and it was to me, what if just think about this for a second. There's the trauma when he regenerates into the 12th, that he was stuck on Trenzalore for 1,000 years and couldn't go anywhere, right? No matter what, okay? That should be a trauma that he remembers immediately when he's Capaldi's Doctor, right? With the thing with, maybe when he regenerated, he wanted to not fall for anybody, or who knows, whatever the explanation is that created Capaldi's Doctor. But the thing is that he has to be reminded of who he is, all this stupid stuff, right? There was also the trauma of losing Clara. There's the trauma of losing River. There's the trauma of being stuck in a confession dial that technically was 3 weeks, but overall he knows he was in there for 4.5 billion years, even though he only has the memory of 3 weeks, right? I think what's happening with this Doctor is he's faced with too much trauma, and it's affecting him mentally, where he's starting to break down.
I don't think this Doctor is mentally stable, like you're saying. I think, remember like David Tennant said, I don't want to go when he regenerated? I think this Doctor's the opposite. I think he's a loose cannon, and he's got a death wish for whatever reason. And that's kind of running underneath the surface, because why on Earth would he, or otherwise off Earth, why would he be taking such risks unless he knows that like he's got limited time, and he's like, you know what, I'm running straight into that bullet that's coming my way for some reason.
Because I think he doesn't want to be alive. I think he wants to regenerate. I think he's done in this incarnation, and he's taken too many unnecessary risks so that he basically regenerates. I think that's what it is. He lost too much, and it's time to go as the Doctor.
Because I don't see Capaldi like you're saying. I don't. And please, for the panel here, do you see Capaldi being on the same level as Tennant with the I don't want to go? Tennant really genuinely seemed like he was enjoying himself. Capaldi seems like he's just like sitting back, biding time.
He's like, I want to go. I want to go. Let's go. Yeah. Fight me. Shoot me so I can regenerate. Shoot me. That's what it is.
Like he knows that he's like a intermediary between the previous Doctor and whatever's going to come next. Like he knows his time.
Yeah, he knows his time. He knew his time was up when he said the word regeneration to Bill, because in his head, he's done. He's done. Okay, he went through too much. This Doctor wants to go. He's done. So he is tempting fate. He is spinning in the face of the odds and what he's supposed to do, and he's risking it all because right now he's just miserable and angry, and he can't have any control over what he wants.
Which is interesting because it's like Capaldi himself being pushed out the door.
Yes. So in a way, it's like, I mean, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I think it's a bad thing because, again, maybe this is why all these people are dying around him.
It's almost like Capaldi is a metaphor for Moffat himself. Like he knows his time on the show is almost done, and and people consider him like, oh, he's out of touch. He's like the old man, quote unquote. And when you really look at this Doctor, it's like he's the old man, and if he really does like feel this way, it's almost like a metaphor for Moffat himself, because he knows that he's almost done writing the show.
Yeah, like the train's coming down the tracks, and you're not going anywhere. So it's like just a matter of like soaking up what you can until the train hits you.
And look what Nardal said. What if you died? He wants to. He's done. He's tired. 2005 years old. He's tired.
Yeah, but even if he dies, though, I mean, he knows he's just going to regenerate.
Yeah.
Well,
I think he wants this incarnation. He's got so much that it's like, okay, and that's probably why he didn't reveal that he was blind initially, because he was wanting to fight the fact that there's a portion of me that still wants to survive, but yet here I need to also rest.
You know what?
Well, we know
something else interesting too. The regeneration energy. He's not using it right away.
No,
That means he can't.
we know other incarnations of the Doctor are aware of the other incarnations. And at the end of this episode, I did listen to some dialogue where he was talking about, Bill said something about, did they ever have the revolt against the corporation? And he just kind of flippantly said, oh yeah, this was going to happen like 6 years or 6 months or whatever from that time. I think it was 6 months. And the thing is, he knows what's coming down the line, even his own life. He knows his incarnation is going to be ending. If he knows what's going on that far in the future with things, he knows when his time's coming up.
I don't think he knows when his time is coming up. Like, I don't think he got to view his life like that, like Doc Brown viewing.
But Tennant knew he was going.
Well, Tennant cheated. Tennant looked at everything and looked at everybody's end, birth to death. I mean, Martha. He was just obsessed with every single companion he's ever had.
But in Legopolis, Tom Baker knew the same thing, but he didn't know it till that episode. But see, we're seeing things through a third-person point of view, not the Doctor. The Doctor, like, they can always introduce something that's like, well, I knew that, something like it's like 5 years from now. He could say, oh yeah, 5 years from now, I'm aware of something. I'm going to share it with you right now. But they're not breaking that fourth wall by telling us that. Only the writers know that, because obviously it's a work of fiction, but we, as viewers watching the show, we're not aware of what the Doctor knows and what he doesn't know about his own timeline. Right. But we are aware, we have an open window on occasion, by the way, that we have an open window where the Doctor's like in Time Crash. David Tennant knew that he was going to be able to solve the problem with the Fifth Doctor in Time Crash.
Yep.
Because he knew what was going to be ahead because he looked backwards.
Yeah.
And we know that from the rumors, if they've been confirmed or not, we know Bradley's coming back as Doctor Number One. So how do we know that Doctor Number One, isn't involved with knowing what the future of this Doctor and what Capaldi's Doctor's purpose is? Because if the Doctor is going to, we're only looking at it from just like a companion. We're like a companion to the Doctor. We only see the Doctor based on what's going on that episode. We don't know what is going to transpire from here to the end of the series when he regenerates. And if William Hartnell's Doctor is going to be involved in this series, which we believe he is, that we don't know if there's been something that those two Doctors are in agreement upon that we are not let in on the secret of what's going on, but Capaldi knows it. That doesn't mean, just because we don't know it, doesn't mean that Capaldi's Doctor doesn't know it. Yeah. So Capaldi's got a master strategy, kind of like Sylvester McCoy's Doctor, where all the time in his head, he knows what's going to transpire. But see, that even makes it more poignant, because I think Capaldi knows his time is limited, whether or not he's actually telling the viewer that. I think that's why he's wanting it. He knows that he's going to live on in another incarnation, but he knows now he wants to enjoy things. He wants to go out into outer space. He wants to go on these adventures while he is him right now. Not like the next guy, not the previous guy, not the guy 3 times down the road or the woman. He wants to feel, he doesn't want to be the Doctor that's got to sit back and watch the dogs at the house while the other Doctors get to go on vacation.
Well, that's what Matt Smith was in the end, 1,000 Years Unfriendly. He was bugging out.
But he was doing what he had to do.
I know, but the thing is, what if it's this simple with the whole? You know how he said why he chose his face? What if it's because of the first Doctor's memory of him being the 12th, that right before the 11th regenerated, he remembered as the first Doctor that's what the form he's supposed to have, is the Capaldi form, because even Matt Smith's Doctor did not want to regenerate old. He did not want it, he's like, oh, please don't. So then maybe it's a memory of, oh, wait, when I was the first Doctor, oh, I'm supposed to take this form in the 12th incarnation. That's right. And then, boom, he regenerates. That's how he takes the form.
Well, yeah, think of it this way. This is what I'm trying to say. It's like if, you don't have an overview of your life necessarily, obviously as being a human, but if you know working within the confines of like today's reality, you're like whatever, like 40, and your 22-year-old self knows that you're going to make a decision being like 39 before you become 40 years old, and you're able to communicate with a 40-year-old to, while they're 39, not make a mistake that's going to lead off into something. Like, you're aware. With the Doctor's character, there's a certain degree of self-awareness of things that we are not always made aware of as a viewer.
Right.
So there's things
we don't see every adventure, right?
Yeah, there's little tricks that are played because the Doctor obviously, I mean, we obviously don't see it as the viewer because they're continually producing the series. But like 4 Doctors or 5 Doctors from now, they could harken back to something that went on now and reference it and make it part of like the mythology of the whole series. But right now we're unaware of it because we're just the viewer. But that doesn't mean they can't write the Doctor's character, whoever the Doctor is at that point, to be like, oh yeah, I knew this all along. I knew that like 3 Doctors from now, this would happen. I mean, like, for example, they could bring Capaldi back like 3 years from now to help a future Doctor with something based on something going on right now.
Right.
Just like they did with Troughton with 2 Doctors.
Yep. 5 Doctors he was into. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 Doctors.
3 Doctors.
Yep. I honestly think with everything that this Doctor is going through, I think that the next Doctor is going to be the complete opposite. How when he first regenerated into Capaldi, he didn't want to hug, he didn't want to have any emotional attachment, he didn't want to fall in love. Because if you saw it from David Tennant being in love with Rose to like when he regenerated to Matt Smith, it was the young, kiddie-ish Doctor, and then he had a whole army. I think I mentioned his name, but yet he never really fell in love in that incarnation. Like, he couldn't get close unless it was with River, but even then it was awkward, you know what I'm saying? So he was falling for Clara, it looked like, in the end too. But then he regenerates again, and it's like he just doesn't want to get close to a companion, so maybe he does something subconsciously. But I think that when he regenerates, he's going to be young. He's going to have a romance with the companion. It's going to be completely a 180 in the next incarnation where it's going to be ridiculous. I think that's where it's going to be. It's not going to be this whole, he doesn't hug this, and he's mean, and it's going to be the complete opposite. It's going to be a young companion, young female companion, young Doctor, and it's going to be a whole new ballgame. And even the music, even the theme music, it's not going to be like this, I mean, after a while seeing this theme music, I'm like, oh, change it around, because it's like,
because that's what they
something exciting.
Originally, they changed the theme as well as the opening in just subtle way.
And by the way, what is
more lively?
By the way, what do we see in the opening? We see the gears of time going by. Mm-hmm. So see, that tells us, to me, I see Capaldi, this is the way I break this down psychologically with this Doctor. I think that whether or not it started this way on purpose, I think that Moffat has kind of like groomed the series along based on what we know that Capaldi's leaving. I think that this Doctor's going to be looked back upon as he, somewhere during his tenure, his era of being this particular Doctor, he's realized his time is coming up. And unlike Tennant, I think Capaldi is embracing the fact that he knows that he's got limited time, and what he's doing is he doesn't want to be sitting behind a teacher's desk because he knows time's ticking by. That's why he's so like fleet of foot, wanting to get up and get in the TARDIS and go like right now, because like he's living his life. He knows he's got a future incarnation. He knows he's got past incarnations, whatever. But right now, he's dealing with right now, and he is who he is right now as we're watching him. And he's going, you know what? I don't want to be like sitting here. I've been here for 50 years. I want to get in the TARDIS because I know my time, the sand is going out of that hourglass. Time's ticking by, just like you see the mechanics of the watch or the time clock in every intro of this series. Whether that's subconscious or not, or they are leaning that way, I see that as like something symbolic of I see that as ultimately symbolic of Capaldi's tenure in this role.
Most definitely. And you know what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. I was done.
Going from 12 o'clock, When you go to the next doctor, it's like 1 o'clock. A new doctor, new beginning, new. You know, like if you're going by the face of a clock, right? New cycle, new day, day one. You know what I'm saying? It's like the next doctor is going to be energetic, young, you know, like just like a clock going from 12 to the final hour, you know?
Well, that's interesting you bring that up because Matt Smith's first episode was called The 11th Hour, right?
Right.
So that's referring to he's the 11th Doctor, the 11th hour. Capaldi's the 12th Doctor. His time's already up from day one when he becomes the 12th Doctor.
Right. Yep. So now it's going to be a situation where it's going to be, you know, who knows if even the next incarnation is going to remember any of this. Because maybe it's going to be like a purge of the memories and like a rejuvenation too. Because again, eventually he's going to have to clean that out there. Just like Tom Baker's doctor said that he was doing it in his fourth incarnation. He was cleaning out his memories.
And after the clock strikes 12, we start over. We are rebooted, refreshed.
Rebooted, number one.
Which will be, like, I agree with you, a younger doctor. It's going to be a totally different dynamic. And this is in keeping with what we were talking about. I mean, I'm telling you, like, the clock's ticking down. I mean, obviously the clock's ticking down because we already know that from them writing the series. But I think it's quite interesting that they have utilized the gears and mechanics of, like, a watch to symbolize Capaldi's era.
But the music has to be completely different. It has to be young, fresh, upbeat, exciting. You know, not this, like, you know, music that's like regular music or something.
This
new composer, new everything new. TARDIS, even the inside, all it has to go. The sonic screwdriver has to go. They have to make a new sonic screwdriver. They have to make a new everything. Because I got to tell you,
I think it's the whole aspect of them destroying it this time, too. In a way.
Well, he's got to get up the shades now. Again,
yeah.
A couple episodes.
Yeah, the new intro, give it some vibrancy and like a new rebirth feel to it.
Yes,
because it's going to be young.
Some light to the opening scene as well. Because if you notice, in every one of the things, the only time you've got brightness is when he's traveling, I think, to the past because it's bright red. But they need to bring life to the Doctor's opening, like we've all said, because it's just so dull and lackadaisical, and so, and because I still remember watching the original series, they made certain that there were bright colors, no matter, starting with the third Doctor. Starting with the third Doctor, they made certain everything had something of a bright coloring, where it's all bleak and bland. With
Chibnall needs to just.
I got to run on my end, so.
All right, dude. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Had a great time, everybody. Good talk. So.
Thanks, bro.
Have a good one.
Yeah, chat later, guys. See you, Chris. Yeah.
So I think that. What was I even saying now? I forgot what I was.
But Chibnall needs to clean out.
Oh, Chibnall needs to not have the Time Lords in the series until the fourth year, maybe the third year. Yeah. Nothing about Gallifrey. He's the last of his kind, except for what, you know, who knows what's going on with Missing Master or whatever. That's it. Leave them out of it. The Daleks. I love. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about. My opinion's different with the Daleks compared to everybody in the Whovian community. I love the Daleks. I want to see the Daleks, but I want different stories to reflect an intricate, interesting, multi-part Dalek episodes where we get, you know how you have the Key to Time? We have a whole thing about Dalek civilization in this quadrant, Dalek civilization in this area. They're not all working together. Because if you notice, there was like the cult of Skaro, there was this Dalek Supreme Leader, there was Davros, there was that whole ship where they didn't do any action and they were bureaucrats. I think that it needs to be said that there are different types of Dalek things everywhere. It's not the same. And that if they do encounter each other, it's like a civil war or something. Because that's what needs to be addressed. So if I have the Daleks in an episode, it's not going to be an episode. It's a multi-episode, maybe 2. But maybe there's going to be a refreshed Dalek design that they don't have the plungers. Maybe they don't have this. Maybe they don't have that. Maybe they look thinner. Maybe they look something.
Okay, how about this? Let's say they do another year off. And one of the treats they do is, okay, we're not going to do something primarily with Doctor Who, but we'll do something with one of his enemies. Let's say like the Daleks or the Cybermen. Here's your factions over here. Here's your factions over here. And these, because they're in different areas, they decide to go with a different twist on their likeness, or whether they have a plunger, whether they have that Dalek gun, or whether they're even all the way armored or not.
Maybe instead of the plungers, they actually have like arms.
Ooh, in Voyager, they had that one race that was dissecting people, and they had and a certain faction of Dalek was going that route. They were
like a hodgepodge of
a hodgepodge of this race or that race. Hearing ghosts again?
No, it's thunderstorms the past.
Oh, okay.
Today I got soaked coming home from work on Saturday, but yeah, so it's pouring out there right now again.
But no, yeah, like you said, like a hodgepodge of differing.
I would love to have a Dalek thing that they don't even know who the hell he is. Maybe the effects of Clara, Oswin, where it affected still certain. Maybe the Daleks purposely made it where these Daleks don't remember it. They didn't connect to any type of mind or whatever, and they're just in this area to just rule for now. Maybe there was an accident, and the Daleks don't connect with Davros and all them, and they're doing their own thing. Maybe they're who knows, maybe they're peacekeeping with this alien race. And then the new Dalek ship comes down, and they're like, "What the hell?" Exterminate. And then they're like the good guys.
A reverse thing, to where you initially assume that the Daleks are here to be the
and they're good guys, right?
But they're really the good guys, yeah.
Maybe because of what is it, Rusty? Maybe Rusty made a whole like the Borg episode finale, whatever, with Lore and Data and was it U-Borg? Maybe they'll make it where there's a whole bunch of U-Borg, yeah. Maybe they'll make it where he, there's a whole bunch of good Daleks out there now. But anyway, that's what I think. But I think maybe it is good. We need a refreshing change. The writing has been too up and down lately.
And hopefully Tim Noel will bring that.
What do you think, Chris?
I agree with most of it. I just, I don't want them to change it too much, because if they start changing it too much, then, they could possibly start doing things that just throw the show off. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. Well, you always run that risk, but right now it's not appealing that much.
No, I disagree. I think that they only need to change it just a bit before they can get it right, because if they start going way off the rails, then
I'm not saying make the Doctor a woman.
No. I'm not saying that either. I'm just saying, to be honest, I don't really want to see a really young Doctor. I want to see a Doctor who's maybe younger than Capaldi but older than Matt Smith.
Between their 30s and 40s.
Something like that. And to be honest with you, I do not want to see a romance with the companion, because I think that's been played out too much.
I never have.
Yeah, so I mean,
we had that with Amy and Rory, and that pretty much got old after a while anyway.
Well, if it's for the sake of the story, where you have this companion there for 3 years, he marries the companion, but the companion gets killed by an enemy.
No, I don't want to see that at all.
You don't want to see that either, right?
No.
I'm sorry. Like I said in a previous cast, the Doctor is like the Lone Ranger. Whatever companion he's got is Tonto, and it should be kept at that type of level.
No romance at all.
No romance. No, keep it.
I just want to see a more consistently written Doctor. If he's going to be
that's
dark.
Kind of impossible though in this society, that the way it is since the new Who came back. I mean, to have that completely out of the show where he doesn't fall in love with anybody, it's not going to work.
He doesn't fall in love with her, but have it more of like a respect. Have it something like a family member type of love instead of this. Oh, we need to steal some time away in the broom closet.
Right. I mean, I think Chibnall needs to establish too that anytime a companion leaves, it doesn't have to be the ultimate like thing where they die. They just leave. Because I think once Chibnall starts getting companions where they just go, there's no pressure about having the ultimate companion, the ultimate situation, the best companion.
Like saying,
just leave.
Doctor, it's been fun, it's been joyful, but you're really bat crazy, and I'm sick of it. So, it's out.
See, now with Moffat was a different story. Moffat just did it, and we were so used to it that when Clara just left and he dropped her off, we were all miserable because we're like, what kind of ending is that? You just leave her there or whatever. And then of course she's back. But the thing is that if Chibnall automatically establishes, hey, look, don't think I'm going to be killing off every companion, whatever. Sometimes you're just going to leave. Then it's accepted because then you know what? Then you don't have the pressure of again.
Okay, if they want to go the death route, do it like they did with Perry. Make you think that she had passed away, and then you find out later that she actually did survive due to some.
Do you imagine if they would have killed Bill off in this episode for real?
Oh, good Lord!
And then it would have just but if they would have just continued, that would be completely different. That they didn't say anything to anybody. They made it like she's going to be the whole season, and then she just dies, like boom, and then he loses it. You know, I mean, again, why does it have to be just like with wrestling, right? You know that the person's not going to lose the belt on Raw, and he's not going to lose the belt. It has to be a big pay-per-view thing. You know that it used to be when I watched it, they lost the belt on a regular night or a Saturday night's main event or a whatever. I'm just using this as an analogy. So why do we have to believe with Doctor Who that the companion has to be the entire season, that the companion has to leave at the end of the season, that the companion has to die, or this one has to whatever? I mean, it's too predictable. You need to change it up. I mean, do you agree, Chris? I don't think anybody loses the belt on Raw anymore.
Oh, no, right? It does happen.
It does happen sometimes?
Yeah. Recently, anyway. Not so much the main title, because the main title is MIA right now, but the women's title and stuff, that's been changing hands on Raw.
All right, well, at least they're changing it that way. But before, for a while, you knew who was going to win and who was going to lose. They never lose the title. Yep. So they have to have it. You have to pay $50 or $40 for this thing to see them lose the title. And it was just too predictable. So how about a companion that's there for 4? How about a companion that's there for 4 episodes, goes away, comes back? Look at Martha. Martha was there for a couple episodes, came back, you know? I mean, I'd be fine with that. Maybe, how about a companion being part of a unit? That they need to work in unit. They can't be traveling with him. Kate's like, listen, stop. You got to be with me now. You know, and then there you go. I'm really disappointed that Osgood was never a companion.
Some old characters as well, actually, like Benton, or Harry. Yes, we'd have to get a different character to play him due to the actor has passed away, but nonetheless, the guy who plays Harry, not Benton. But they need to show the revitalization.
They need to have
and
a companion.
That's why I keep saying they need a younger companion that came before the series returned.
They need to have a companion that's related to a unit member that he interacted with, where this person knows he's the friend, the doctor. He's a military background, it's a guy. And immediately on the scene, he's with the doctor helping him out. Then he's like forcing his way, listen, let's get in the TARDIS, whatever. And there would be a shootout, and then he goes with them, and he just travels with the doctor, and he's like the might of the situation.
He's like the Harry, because that's what Harry was supposed to be for the 4th.
The muscle. He's like the muscle. Yeah. But like he is seen as a mission, not as a companion. You know, maybe the units that you have to help him go after. Maybe unit members are abducted and sent to another planet, and Kate's like, listen, you travel with the doctor, and you go for like 5 episodes, and then you're gone. You know. Do something like that. Why does it have to be scheduled? You're hired beginning season, end season. Why does it have to be like that? Why do we know that she's definitely there till this episode? It should be we have no clue that you have companions come and go, and it's what the hell is happening. Well, we don't even know, right? Say they have series 11, right? We have no clue. We're watching it. We see the companion leaves in episode 4. We're like, what the hell? We get a new companion. Then she leaves in. I mean, they just throw everybody off.
Okay, same notion. They leave in episode 4, but they don't explain why they leave until maybe the last episode or the Christmas episode.
Or we could be in a situation where at the end of series 11, that all these people come back and he has like 4 companions at once, like Peter Davison did or whatever. And then the next season's going to be crazy, you know? I like Stolen Earth and Journey's End.
This is who's staying in Curtis.
No, I like Stolen Earth and Journey's End when he had tons of people on the talks. I love that. So, I don't know, but my hopefuls. But anyway, again, I lost track. Going back to Oxygen, finally. And, you know, I got to tell you, I've been out this episode before. I said, the zombies in space, I don't know. And then last time I was looking at it, I'm like, maybe it's just going to be 8 for me. I don't know. But I loved it completely. So, there we go.
And the space station had a resemblance to Return of the Cybermen, a 4th Doctor adventure, if you look at that. Oh man, I'm brain fart. I hate when that happens. Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey, in a way. If you looked at the, because they made the space station almost realistic, and on how it was going to be, and how Bill says, "There's gravity here," and she jumps up and down.
Yeah, I'm looking at. First of all, again, nothing against Pro Mackie, and Moffat shouldn't make us completely think that each companion is the greatest, right? She's not my favorite companion. I'm sorry. I mean, she's there, okay, but there's nothing in these episodes that show me that she's evolving where she's going to start following the TARDIS or like doing those crazy things that Moffat companions do. I mean, she's just there in this episode. She was afraid and scared.
I didn't think about it until maybe later on in the episode. I love the fact that they made it seem as though her actions or how she was feeling. Because if you remember, they showed a portion of her pants, and it was and they were torn. And I started thinking, what if that has something to do with why she's acting the way she is? This like lackadaisical, and then boom, she was turned into a zombie later on. You almost made it seem as though it was, pardon the pun, airborne, and then you find out, like one of the other cast members said, it's actually more Borg-like when they touched them.
Well, what if they make it that Bill's crazy? Because she's like screaming mom as she's about to die?
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like, what if she just talks to the mother and the mother's not there? You know, it's like maybe losing it or something. Who knows?
Well, she was thinking that she was going to die, so
she's thinking about a mother, right?
For every memory.
Yeah. All right. I think that's going to be it. But again, I enjoyed it immensely. 10 out of 10 to me. All right.
I got to see it 2 more times to give you my full rating, though. But
and next week is Extremis, which I can't wait for Missy to be back. So, all right, guys, take care. Bye for now.